Hi, I'm Jazz Tanqcay, Senior Artisans Editor at Variety, and so excited to be here today for the Critics' Choice Association in the conversation. And with us today, we have writer and director of Barbie, Greta Gerwig. Hi, Greta.
Hello. Hi.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
Um,
for having me. It's wonderful.
and I'm so excited to just dive into everything, to all things Barbie with you, because I think, you know, like let's talk about some, like the first thoughts you had about telling the story and writing the script. Like, what was some, like, yeah, where did it all begin for you?
Well, it initially began for me because Margot Robbie invited me to this party, and I'd known her a little bit, and I was obviously I'm incredibly in love with her as an actor, and then I got to know her as a producer a little bit. We talked about the work she'd done with Lucky Chap and as a producer, and I was just extremely impressed by her. And so when she came and said, I've got the rights to do a Barbie film. Would you want to write it? I said I would. I'll do it. I'd love to. And it was I was going to write it for her, and then I said I'd like Noah Baumbach to write it with me because I wanted because honestly I hadn't written with Noah for a long time, and I love writing with Noah. We have so much fun writing together, and I thought it would somehow be a good pairing. Like there was something, there's some like voice we can access when the two of us write together that like neither one of us has access to on our own, but something happens when we do it together where there's some third thing. So I thought, oh, that would be great. And then I honestly, like, Noah wasn't, he did not share my sentiments necessarily. He was, I guess he was concerned that Barbie doesn't have a character or a story. It's a doll. So that it doesn't necessarily say this will make a great movie. It's a bit of a, it's like, it's almost worse than a blank slate. It's like a complicated blank slate with a lot of feelings on it already. But that was actually the thing that I got excited about, was this idea that what Barbie has meant over since 1959, since she was invented, and then just personally, my relationship to Barbie, and I had a mom who didn't love Barbie, but reluctantly gave in to Barbie, and the kind of discussion around that. And I thought, it feels like there's something here that could be interesting. So I just started writing into all of the spikiness and all of the kind of stuff that felt scary about it. That's what I started imagining things around. And then I gave a bunch of pages to Noah, and then he got excited about them, and he thought he had some ideas, and then we were sort of off to the races.
I love that. What was the first like scene you wrote?
Actually the very first scene I wrote that I gave to him was it's not in the movie, but the essence of what it is in the movie. It's not funny. It was actually, it's very serious. It's it was Barbie in her dream house, set uh wakes up and is having her day, and then she all of a sudden notices there's a woman, like a human woman, a woman who's dying, and in her lawn, on a hospital bed, and they have this conversation about mortality and aging and death and bodies falling apart, and it was a serious, sad conversation, I think in part spurred by the inventor of Barbie, Ruth Handler. What she had breast cancer, and she had a double mastectomy, and I thought there was something about for the woman who invented the first doll with breasts, that was something. It felt very poetic, and it wasn't literally Ruth Handler. It was just this idea of like, this idea of a doll, that this plastic, perfect, unchanging thing, and then what does it mean to have a conversation with a woman whose body is failing her? And and I thought that was something that it was an interesting conversation. I definitely know I read that and he was like, this will never, you can never put this in this movie. But I think that there was something in it that kind of those bigger questions got embedded into the script, even though we didn't literally do that scene.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I love that. Let's talk about building the world of Barbie Land and this incredible, set decorating and production design by Katie Spencer and Sarah Greenwood.
Yes. They
Woo!
they're well, it was for me, it was really this dream team of collaborators. It was everyone I wanted to work on this movie, and magically it all came together. And I knew I wanted to work with Jacqueline Duran for costumes, and because I'd worked with her before on Little Women, and I just love her, love her. And she had actually done a bunch of work with Katie and Sarah, and I loved the collaborations they've done together. And Sarah was always in my mind as the person I wanted, but I didn't know her. So I think I simultaneously went to Sarah and Rodrigo, and I was like, I'm going to put together the thing, and they both miraculously said yes. And so we were starting to work on this and talk about this in the winter of 2020, that we were doing Zooms and getting on the phone and just talking about what this could be, but by then. And I I assembled that team before I had a green light at all. Like, no, I just, I guess I'm a sort of believer, and maybe this comes from working on independent films, that in a way you just have to start making the movie. If you wait for the permission all the time, you're not gonna, never get there. So I think in a way, if I have a strategy, it's really just like, start, if you build it, they will come, I guess. It's like, well, I've got Rodrigo Prieto, I've got Sarah Greenwood, I've got Jacqueline I mean, let's go. So I think that was just this excitement, because my favorite thing about movies is that they're collaborative art forms, that you get to talk to all these film artists about how to execute something. And my favorite things to work on, and Barbie was this for sure, was this sense of like, how are we going to do this? Like, how are we actually going to do this? Like, how is this possible? And figuring it out together, that was so great. So it was sort of a very long, I guess, soft prep period. And then we were properly in prep in fall of 2021. So about 6 months of real hard prep. And it was just every day there was like every single frame of this movie, there is an ingenious solution that somebody came up with, who is 99% of the time not me, but that I was like, no, that's the right way to do this. And also, I mean, it was that whole team, but also our choreographer Jenny, our stuntman Roy, our stunt coordinator Roy, Glenn, who did the visual effects. Like, it was all hands on deck all the time, figuring out how we're actually going to do this. Josh, my first AD, it was really like again, it was this giant movie, but it also felt like almost like hey, we're putting on a show, like kids in a barn. It kind of had this quality of like, well, how are we going to build that rig? And then there are lots of incredible artists to come up with solutions, but every piece of figuring it out was just a joy. It was a joy every day. I mean, I think of like with Sarah and Katie working on, and the vehicles department working on the Barbie cars, and how we were going to do the Barbie cars. And they were all these they're like giant remote controlled cars that are on so then the car is put on top of it, and so there's a guy driving it like a remote control car. And we were like testing the bases, like how fast we could get them to go. And then we were sitting in they made these styrofoam molds of the car, and then I would put Margot in it, and I'd see, because it needed to be comically small, and how comically small, but to still keep the beauty of the Corvette, of that specific Corvette. Like it was just the detail of the craft of everything was it was unlike anything I've ever been part of.
So, I mean, as far as all the themes that you cover in the film, like, talk about balancing them and telling them in that story, because, that there's girlhood, acceptance, self-discovery. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely, I think one of the things both in the writing of the script and then I mean, really all the way through, but I was just thinking about Nick Hui, my editor, who I've worked with on every movie, this kind of balancing act that we end up in always with the films we've done together is how to thread this needle of unlikely pairings in a way. Like um, you know, but Barbie and acceptance of death. It's an unlikely pairing, but it's that it starts with the work that Noah and I do, and then for me, the thing that's so the most important thing is the actors. And so Ryan, America, and Margot are the kind of actors, and every actor is like this in this movie, but I focus on the three of them for a minute, is that, they have the ability to have totally grounded performances and also, big comedic constructions too. And I think of, what Margot does as, creating this literally plastic doll with no interior life, and then watching it crumble in front of you, and then a human emerges. I mean, it appears so effortless, but it's an impossible task as an actor. And I think in some ways, if that doesn't work, the whole thing falls apart. I mean, to convince people to go on a journey with Barbie, that's not so simple. And I think the incredible deftness of how she does it is it's it's so amazing because it's so layered, and it comes across so pure, and it's such a layered thing. And then with America, that what she did and what she's doing, and as she is the stand-in for she's the human being, she's the human woman, and she's the mother, and she's been a fan of Barbie, and she's gone through a whole life. She sees all the complications of everything, and yet she has she carries all of the contradictions of what that means. And the way she brought it to life is she's funny, and she's tired, and she's wise, and she's beautiful, and she's fed up, and she's hopeful. She's all of these things. And so that when she's pitching, this ordinary Barbie to the CEO of Mattel in an imaginary land, you don't think, what's going on? You're like, that's right. And, the same is true of Ryan, that Ken is ridiculous, and yet you love him and care about him deeply. And I think that it's like that. For me, it's like when the actors can hold all of those different threads in their own performances, that's when I know. That's when I know we've got, we got a shot to pack that all in. And also, I mean, there's also a lot of ideas and a lot of words in this movie, and they make the ideas emotional and connected and character driven, and that's that's their brilliance.
it's also your brilliance and the brilliance of Barbie. So, Greta, thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us
Thank
today. Thank you
you.
for that incredible conversation, and
Thank
congratulations
you.
again.
Oh my gosh, this is such a wonderful week. I'm so proud of everyone. It's so wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, congrats on all.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye,
Uh,
Greta. Bye.
bye. See you soon.
See you
Bye.
soon. Bye.